Audio Jungle.
Okay, so this part is about temporary tables. Now, what are temporary tables? As we have already done, we have done table aliases, we have created a table aliases, we have, renamed a subquery as a table name, like a subquery, and named it a top customers or whatever. Now, what we can do is, instead of doing that, we can also create a temporary table so that it is accessible to us throughout the session. Okay, if we are connected, then temporary table is there. So whenever we create a table using temporary keyword, that table is temporary and that is deleted whenever we close the session. That is, we close workbench or we disconnect, then the temporary table is removed. Now, why do we use temporary table? Is we use to temporary table to store intermediary or temporary data that we want to use, that we will be using again and again throughout the session, but we do not want to use it all the time. It need not be persistent, it need not be accessible by all the people who want to access the database, but it is necessary for our work that we are currently doing. Okay, so that's why we use temporary table. Let's open workbench and do an example. Now another one is selected. Let's select classic models, double click to select. Now let's say we want to get a list of customers that are our top customers. Now we have already fetched our top customers, but now we want that to be stored in a column. Okay, so what we can do is, let's write a query. The statement is exactly the same, guys. You just write create table. Not exactly the same, you need to use temporary keyword, but it's exactly similar to creating table. Oh my god, create tabling. So it's similar to create table. Now what you want to do is, let's say you want the customer ID and customer name. Okay, you want customer ID, customer name, and the money he or she has spent, so that will define our top customer, obviously. So we just write create table, let's call it top customer, and then here we have customer number, that is int, then we have customer name, that is varchar, that can store up to 100 characters, and then we have amount spent, that is a number, so we'll just call it integer. And if we hit Control Enter, we get our customers table, top customers table here. Where is it? Okay, here it is. We have our top customer tables, right? But now if we want to manually insert data in it, insert into this and the values, that is a pretty hectic job, and that is like that will take up more time than just joining the query and executing the query again and again. So what we can do is, we can insert data into this automatically. The query that will fetches our top customers can be inserted into this. Now how that can be inserted is, we had done it in previous sessions using insert into this, and what we insert is the query is the data of another subquery, right? When we did subqueries part, we can insert it that way also, but we can insert this data into this while create table itself. So in this one we will learn how to insert data while creating the temporary table. Okay, but now this is not temporary. I messed up because this is this is created using just create table. Now if you want to remove it, what can you do is, you can do drop table and then write the table name and hit Control Enter, and see, as you can see, the table is gone. Now what can you do is, you can copy it the same way, but the difference is you write not create table, create temporary table. Okay, now if you hit Control Enter and refresh this, it is not visible here. So it seems workbench does not show you the temporary tables, but it is there. Okay, because if you want to write select all from temporary table, as you'll see, what is it saying? Select all from stop customer. If we hit Control Enter, we got nothing here. As you can see, the table is created, the top customer temporary table is created, and the workbench does not show the temporary tables. And if you are here, you can see the top customer is empty. Now, how to delete a temporary table? It's the same. You just write temporary delete table top customer. Now, since this is not a normal table, this is a temporary table, right? You hit Control Enter. Now it says 0 rows affected, drop table is successful. Now if you hit Control Enter, as you can see, top customer does not exist. Now, why we do not just use this and make it a habit to use temporary table is because if you create a normal table with the same name, right, if there was already a temporary top customers table, then this is also created automatically. Like whenever you use a temporary table with the same name as an already existing table, the table is created. We don't get an error like creating a normal table like this table already exists. That top customers will be created. To give you an example, let's change this top customer to this customers. Okay, now we already have a customers table here. If I hit Control Enter, as you can see, the customers table will be created, right? We get no error like creating normal tables. And if we hit select all from customers, then this is the one that we will be using. Now whenever you create a temporary table with the same name as an already existing table name, this is the temporary table, is the table that will be created. Okay, so to avoid data loss due to some mistakes or some errors, what you need to do is you need to delete the table always with a temporary table name. Okay, do not remove this table without this temporary keyword. So you just delete temporary table customers now, and it is deleted. And now if you select from customers, you'll see the data is from our original customers table. Okay, so what have you learned now is you can create a temporary table with the same name as an already existing actual table. Alright, so that is a temporary table. Now back to what we were originally doing. We were trying to insert data into top customers while using the create table. Okay, so how can you do that? To do that, first, this much is the same, right? You want to create table customer, right? Now excuse me, now you write, okay, first of all, let's write the query which will select our top customers, right? So to know our top customers, we go to our payments table, check what we have here. We have the amount, right, and the customer number. So customer 103 has paid this much, the sum of this much amount, isn't it? And now we also need customer name from this table. So what we write is, we want, first of all, we want customer name, and we want total amount, right? So we want total amount spent, and we also want customer number, right? Customer number. Now from where do we want this? We can get customer number and customer name from our customers table, but for this total amount spent, we have to check the payments table, right? So let's say we are getting this from our payments table. Okay, let's say this much at the moment from payments. Now what is the total amount spent? Total amount spent is not just a column here, it's the sum of these amounts, right? So how can we do that? We just write sum, and then we go to, not the total, what was it, the column was amount, sum amount as total amount spent. So this much we can get from payments table, right? But we also need to group it, because we don't want to sum all the amounts spent by all the people. We need to group this according to customer number. So if you group a customer number, we will get only these three things in the sum. Okay, so where is it? Now we can do group by after the join. The group by is not done here, we do it after the join. So we inner join, what was our table? Customers table, right? Inner join customers, and then we group by first, we group by customer numbers, but first we need to define using, what do we want to join? We want to join using customer number. This is too long, let's move it down here. Join using customer number, right? And this customer number needs to be selected from customers. So now do you understand the query? First of all, we are selecting customer number, customer name, and sum of total amount from as this from payments, and where we are joining customers table, we're joining payments to customers to get the customer number, not customer number, the name corresponding to customer number. So we join this, and then what we do is we group by customer number after joining, so that we can get the sum of a particular customer number, not all the customer numbers. So if we hit Control Enter here, now we can see customer number, customer name, total amount spent. So this is the data that we want to store in our top customer table, right? So what we can do is we just go here and then copy this. We copy our query that will give you the resultant table. So this is what we want our resultant table to be, right? So we create top customer table, okay, but this is a temporary table, so let's not make that mistake again. Let's call create temporary table as top customer, and then then you just copy it and you just paste it here. Now one thing is this the top customers? This is not, right? This is all the customers. So how can you make it just the top customers? What you can do is you can order by total amount spent, right? And then just select the top 10. So this will be ordered by total amount. This is already we have done, right? We ordered it by total amount spent in descending order, so the greatest total amount spent will be on the top, and then we want to limit it to just 10 customers, because that is what defines the top customers, right? We want to check the query if it's working or not properly. We can copy this here and let's paste it here, and let's run the statement, and we can just see now we have our top customers here. So this is what we want in our table, right? So we just copy the query. After create temporary table name, we just paste the query. Now we hit Control Enter. Okay, now we have our table. So throughout this session you can always use that table. You go to another SQL file, you select all from top customer, and you can see this here. Now you know the customer name, customer number, and total amount he has spent. So throughout this thing you can do whatever you want with this table as if it was an actual table. Alright, so this is temporary table. This was temporary table. Okay, this truncating table is for deleting all the data in a table. Till now we have done drop table and create table, right? What if you want to delete all the data in the table? Let's say you inserted a wrong data. So if you want to delete all the data in the table, instead of deleting the table itself, you use truncate table. And as you can see here, it is like a sequence of drop and create. So when you do truncate table, it's like dropping the table, that is the table is completely gone, and then creating the table again. Okay, so let's use this once. So let's not delete anything from this one, or let's delete it from here. Okay, so what we can do is, this is a temporary table, right? What we can do is we can do truncate table, and if you write customer here, as you can see, the table top customer is truncated. Now this top customer is a temporary table, but if you do it for any table, it will work the same way. Now if you go here and run this again, as you can see, all the data are deleted. So that's what a truncate table does. Okay, it deletes the data. Now we are moved on to generated columns. Now this generated columns, as you can see, data in these columns are computed on basis of a predefined expression. So it's like what we have done till now is we have created a column and then we have inserted data. Now in generated columns, as the name suggests, the data is automatically generated. So what I mean by that is the data in generated column is not inserted, but it is generated on the predefined expression that we define while creating the table. So let's open Workbench to see what I'm talking about. Now I have opened the customers table. Now let's say we want the full name of our contacts, right? Contact first name and contact last name grouped together. So what we can do is we can, at the moment, we can go select customer number, and we want to join these two so that they are together, right? So what we do is we use concat function. Now what this concat does is it concatenates the contact whatever we put in here. So let's say we want to contact last name, and then we want to add a space in between, and then we want to add contact first name from our customers table, right? And if we hit Control Enter, we get this name, this thing, right? They are joined together. As you can see, Smith and Karen, King and John, they are joined together. But this is very ugly column name, so let's change it to as full name. Now we have a full name. So what we can do is, as you can see, this column is generated this way, and the data are generated using concatenating the first name and the last name, right? So while creating the column itself, we can add this query, generated contact query, so that whenever we have a first name and last name inserted, the full name will be the sum of those two things joined together. So how can you do that is, let's say we are creating a table. Okay, let's just try it in test table, right? Let's not mess with this table. Now here we have employees, right? And if we check it, we have 2 employees here. Now let's say this name represents the first name, and let's say we want to add another column. Now this is a practice, kind of like a practice also, guys, so you can follow along. Let's first add another last name column, and then we will see how we can make a generated column, right? Okay, so first we alter table, add last name varchar, that's 255, add column, not column, I think the thing required is table name, add alter table employees, and then we add a last name column. Okay, that is varchar. Now guys, remember we have an employees table here also, so make sure you have this one in use, that is shown by bold, or you are using another one dot employees, right? Don't mess up this employees table. Add this last name in this on another one table. Okay, now we hit Control Enter, and we have our employee last name added here. And then if we select again, let's add names here. My last name is Shrestha. We go down here, this is Ganji. Do you know Samwise Ganji? And hit apply, and we have these two here. Now what if in the full name column we wanted the these two joined together? So what we can do is we can go alter table and then create a generated table. This table we add full name. Now it is a varchar, but what else it is? It is a generated column. So what we write is, we write it generated always as, this will always be the concatenation of what? Of name, right, comma, there will be a space in between, and then we'll have our last name. So this is what this column will be. If we hit Control Enter and we select all from this again, as you can see, this is full name. So now we can just write select full name from employees, and if you go here we can see the full name. So this is pretty much, this is generated column, and this is pretty beautiful. It is always automatically generated. And you can do a lot more with generated queries. You can have the total sales of that person that is automatically generated, total times the person has bought something. So that is the power of generated columns. So the difference is, it is generated automatically based on whatever you have expression after here. Okay, so that is generated column. Now you can also check, if you select all from here, now you can also check inserting a new value, right? So let's say this guy's name, let's add a girl. Okay, make it a little balanced. Alice address is Wonderland. By default she's active, and let's say the last name is, I don't know any last names. Okay, Damon, Alice Damon. And if we apply here, if we hit apply and then apply, finish it, and as you can see, this automatically becomes Alice Damon. So that is an example of generated column.